Hello, this is Ian Noel Camalotis for CEntertainment Media, and this is Chatterbox.
You guys all put this show together.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So what got you, first of all, into music, per se, just as a whole?
Sure, yeah. I was really young. I've been kind of singing since probably before I could talk, and
So today I'm here with comic artist Daniel Johnson, who has a comic that's coming out. Could you tell us the name of the comic book?
The title is A Space Mullet. Like hair. Space mullet.
Gotcha.
And I'm here with Haley Lou Richardson, who's got two films here at the film festival. So could you let us know which ones they are? And I'm with artist Tim Jacobus, who is the original artist for the covers of the Goosebumps series.
If you know the way R.L. Stine works, he talks about it often. He always comes up with the title before he does any other writing.
all I really do is kind of like play different riffs, and then something will be really catchy to me, so I'll loop that one section and then just keep layering on top of it.
I just love that I'm an actor and I get to work on projects and love what I'm doing and learn from every single project that I do, because I just feel like, even though I have a lot to improve and I'm pretty critical of myself, like I feel like I get better genuinely every single thing I do. And The Well was like, I took 5 stairs up because I learned so much doing that movie.
Hello again, this is Ian Camalotis with CEntertainment Media, and I'm here with Tim Harrison from, I want to make sure I get it right, HDC Cosplay and Fabrication. I keep missing the cosplay part.
No, that's fine. It's HDC Fabrication is fine.
Okay, gotcha. So tell us, first of all, what brought you here to Anime Magic?
I was fortunate enough to be a part of year 1, which was great, and being a Chicago-based fabricator and designer and cosplayer, I was lucky enough to get invited back for year 2. So providing educational media, contest judging, hanging out in the booth and just chatting with folk.
Okay. So the fact that you've got cosplay passion, what got you into cosplay in the first place?
Halloween. Always been a big fan of Halloween since I was a little guy, and throughout high school made weird costumes in theater and things like that. And when I was in college, didn't really do it too much because I was focused on that, and then I just had this desire to make something again for Halloween and put some steampunk things together. It was like 2011, 2012. And that reignited the flame. I found out about people doing costume stuff not just on Halloween. Found like the steampunk convention track, and through there some more of like the general conventions. And after C2E2 2016, it was my first larger competition. That was pretty much the end of it for me, and that's where we are now.
Okay. Well, you brought up steampunk. What drew you to steampunk first as more of a costume design?
I enjoy the fact that everything is pretty much an original character, and being a big Nikola Tesla fanboy most of my life, I enjoy like the plasma ball and kind of like there's like a subgenre of steampunk called Tesla punk, where it kind of brings in more of like the Victorian alternative history, like electronic aesthetic and whatnot. So when I make stuff, I try to tie that more into my builds and kind of like that cool Tesla-y, old school like electronic, and just bring stuff to life.
Okay.
That was my biggest draw for it.
And that's a huge subgenre when it comes to like costume design.
Yeah.
People love that. Is it difficult to make some of those, or especially since they're all original?
It can be. I I enjoy original stuff, and I also enjoy the replica work, because with the replica work you have a basis, like essentially a standard to me, where I like the original stuff because it gives you unlimited creative freedom, so you can make it as simple or complicated as you want. Being somewhat of a, I guess, masochist, you could say, I tend to overcomplicate builds, but I also enjoy like the fine detail work. So I'll have a vision for something and try to cram in like as much practical effect electronics and things that I can, and that's always involves more work, but it's something that I very much enjoy.
Okay. Well, since you talked about how you started off with Halloween and discovered that people dressing up outside of Halloween, what drew you more into the anime and the non-steampunk aspect to it?
The culture and the people, really. One of the first big things was especially like the green room aspect of being a competitor in a craftsmanship contest. I enjoy like the camaraderie and just like-minded individuals coming together to just spend too much time making all this nerdy stuff, and then essentially have a giant forum where beyond the competition you can meet all those people as well. It's like, you can be complete strangers, and it doesn't matter who you talk to. Like, anybody at one of these conventions, you're going to have something in common with, so there's like an instant means of communication that I really enjoy.
So you've been to quite a bit of conventions and with a lot of the competitions, and I'm guessing you're used to the whole, with people wanting to stop you, take pictures with you. Were there any characters that you feel were your favorite that you've made, in terms of either your own originals or something that's from an existing media?
My...
Just to be a loaded question.
Yeah, it's prop work. I really like the steampunk stuff. Mandalorian Din Djarin from the new show is probably one of my favorite builds. Not necessarily anime, but my Vegeta was a relatively quick build, but it's also one of my favorite costumes. Just this classic Cell Saga armor, and then my Black Mage, even though I don't wear it anymore, and it's unpleasant to wear, but it's kind of helped start the process, and it was the fuel to the fire, so to speak. So there's a few. I have a hard time picking a single aspect always, so like 3 is my good one, but I would say like recently Mando for sure.
Mando, okay.
Yeah.
You did a panel yesterday. It was a Cosplay 101 with a few of the other cosplayers. For those who weren't able to even attend Anime Magic, what were some of the things you guys discussed in that panel?
So it was a lot of how do you get started in cosplay, just like different storage techniques, fabrication. There were some questions with people wanting to get more into the craftsmanship competition side of the world, and like how to go about doing that. So it's long story short, it doesn't, as long as you're having fun and you're doing what you want to, it doesn't matter how you start. You can use cardboard, you can use thrifted clothes, you can use $70 a yard screen printed superhero fabric if that's what you want to do. It's these places and these conventions are for everyone, and I'm glad that we're getting beyond like back in the early days, 2010, 2012, there's still a lot of kind of like that gatekeeping aspect, especially on the fabrication side when it comes to techniques for things, and very fortunate to be in a day and age where everything is much more accessible to everybody, and everybody's more welcoming to the younglings and whatnot coming in. And that was pretty much the gist of it, just going over how to get started, materials, safety, which unfortunately is a topic that we need to address these days.
That's okay.
Safety with photo shoots, just always attending things in groups. That was a big topic that was brought up a few times in multiple aspects. But yeah, just kind of introductory stuff. It was just kind of like spitballing questions back and forth.
Okay. I see. What was the costume you wore yesterday? Because I see here you've got an R, you've got the glasses. I'm guessing you're Giovanni from Pokemon. What are some of the costumes you've worn already so far this weekend?
Yesterday was kind of just like a resistance pilot from Star Wars. It's comfortable. I can move around. It's as much as I want to wear some of my fancier stuff. As a guest, I need to make sure I can maintain mobility and not kill myself throughout the day, expending all my energy wearing something insane. So yeah, Star Wars yesterday, some Pokemon today. We'll see what tomorrow brings.
Lots of surprises.
Oh yeah.
Well, you've got your booth downstairs. What can people expect? Do you have any photos? Or anything?
Yeah, I've got a 3D printer demo running. So that's active. If you guys have not seen a 3D printer before, like we've got that going down there. Actually running Anime Magic keychains. They're little freebies for everybody, and then various props and costume parts that we've made throughout the year for cosplay and commercial work and some other industry work. I've got some various prints, so like some of our Star Wars costumes, some Project Blade, World of Warcraft stuff, some other anime things. Just a bunch of little trinkets, and then we've got our repair setup as well if anybody has any costume accidents that they need fixed.
Okay, that's good. Good to have you on site, so you can help out with a lot of people's costumes, and even just if they want to ask for advice.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to one of the things I love to ask all my guests too, and especially for your field. What advice do you have for anyone that wants to get into cosplay in general, in terms of they want to start off, or just even getting to that point where they're comfortable enough to dress up in in their costumes?
Don't be afraid to fail. It's much better to try something and either fail or figure out that you don't like it than live in this constant state of what if. So I'm always an advocate of just trying and putting yourself out there. Try different materials, try different techniques. Try going to a convention in costume. It might not even like going to a convention in costume. So it's a very, for the most part, welcoming community in store-bought cosplay, or people who just want to go to the panels, people who want to get more into the craftsmanship side, and there's so many of us out there, and so don't be afraid to try, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to sit with us here and let us know a little bit more about your passion and craft.
Yeah, thank you.
We're looking forward to seeing what else you've got this weekend.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
So this is Ian from CEntertainment Media, and thank you for watching. Hello again, this is Ian Camalotis for CEntertainment Media, and I'm here with Xanthe Hyunh. So hopefully I pronounced that right. Closely.
Yeah, pretty close. Xanthe Hyunh.
Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us here. So you're here as one of the voice acting guests here. So what, first of all, brought you to Anime Magic?
Well, it was a matter of being asked to come, which I am very happy to be here. Yeah, it's been really great. It's like a nice, mid-sized con. It's really great to like get around and like get to see a lot of the same faces at like all my panels. Like it becomes like this like really nice little community over the weekend, and it's been really nice so far. Yeah.
How far did you have to travel? Like, where are you from?
So I flew in from Los Angeles, so it's like a 4.5-hour flight.
Okay, not too long.
Yeah, not too bad.
Okay, well, as a voice actor, it's one of those things a lot of people always wonder what gets people into acting in general, and specifically voice. What drew you into acting, and specifically voice acting especially?
Yeah, so I was put into a theater class in middle school, and being a very introverted, shy person, like, you would think that acting would be the first thing I would want to do, but I found it to be very freeing. It was like a different way to communicate and like really really bond with like another person, because I'm portraying this other character. We're all having this moment of really getting to know this character, and I feel like it kind of creates this area for us to like kind of discover a human side that we can all relate to based on this character that I'm probably portraying or something. So I really liked that aspect of it, and so I continued to take more acting classes just to be able to dive deeper into characters, and because of that, it kind of led me to voiceover, because I already had big interest in animation and anime in general, and so that's what kind of like steered me in the path to going into voiceover.
Okay. Well, when we talk about voiceover, what was your first role and how did you get into the industry itself?
So I entered a voice acting competition called AX Idol back in 2007, and I actually didn't really know anything about voiceover, but I did have an acting background, and I made it as a finalist. And then from there, Bang Zoom Studios brought me into their studio to audition, and my very first role was in The Familiar of Zero as Siesta. I was very nervous going in. I didn't know anything. I kind of learned on the job. I worked with Tony Oliver, and I still do a lot of stuff with him these days too. He's a fantastic actor, director, and he was the one that kind of taught me how to really approach the mic, how to like stay on mic, and also to relax, and because I was so tense and so nervous. Yeah, that's pretty much how I first got into it and how I first started.
Okay. Do you take a lot of direction in terms of some of the roles that you get, or is it more of they let you do things freely first and then kind of tell you afterward what you might need to adjust?
So it's a mix of both. For anime in particular, there's a lot of constraints because there's already the original Japanese that you kind of have to follow. So they tend to like you to be somewhere in the same ballpark, at least attitude and personality wise. And so if I haven't had the opportunity to already watch the show or preview it in trailers and things like that, then the director will fill me in information, tell me about the character, tell me about the show and the world, and then I'll go into a read. And if I'm not hitting the character right on, they'll give me direction and adjustments so that I am like fitting the character that they imagine for this project, and then we'll go from there. And then it becomes like a line by line kind of thing if I'm like hitting the mark or not, and readjusting from there.
Okay. One of the roles I remember hearing that you were in the Madoka Rebellion, the third movie, and you played technically essentially the same character but two different versions of it. There was Bebe and Nagisa. Was it difficult because with Bebe's character there was kind of inaudible dialogue?
Yes.
Were there a lot of anything written, or was that more just written as an instruction and you make up something on your own for that?
I wish it was, and also like I kind of am glad I didn't have to like make stuff up. It was very hard, specifically for the character of Bebe, because they had phonetically written out the gibberish that she speaks on paper, and then the random like cheese names that she says here and there. And going into voiceover, especially for dubs, I don't get the scripts ahead of time, so I don't get to like practice and read through and see what's going on. I get in and then I see it there, so I'm reading it for the first time, and it's all this like gibberish, and then it's not only that, but you have to match it to like the character every time they open their mouth, and she's like really tiny and like bouncing and moving around, so I'm like trying to keep track of her like little mouth and trying to read this like gibberish at the same time. And then the director on top of that is explaining to me, okay, this is what she's actually saying if she could speak words. So I have all this like emotional context underneath while I'm reading this for the first time, while I'm trying to keep track of the mouth flaps over here. So it's a lot of like juggling, and it's honestly one of the most difficult things I've done in voiceover.
I would imagine, because then either way, if it was improv gibberish, it's one of those, okay, now you're stuck making up your own thing, and if it's written, then it's like, okay, now I need to hit these points kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Speaking of voice and some difficulty in trying to come up with, because you said you didn't get the script ahead of time really, There was a master class I took at one of the conventions with Paul St. Peter, where he had people who wanted to try to do voiceover and gave scripts. I was given a character script, so everyone else got like radio spots, and I was only given a few hours to prepare, because then he goes, "You're going to perform, and I'm going to talk you through, what you did." How do you come up with your characters? Because that was one of the things that I had to go through. It's like, how do you come up with the character? What was your inspiration, based on this? Because not all the time do you even see the character look before the performance. So how do you come up with the characters?
So, it's kind of difficult because, for anime in particular, there's already kind of an established character, so you can kind of like see as you go if I haven't had time to prepare ahead of time. Because that happens sometimes. You just get cast in a thing, you come in and then they'll fill you in. That happens a lot with video games as well, where I might not know what the series is. I don't know what it is that I'm going in for, because they just say, oh, it's this under a code name. So I go in and then they have to explain to me what's going on. If they have a reference photo, great. Sometimes they don't because it's still in production. So a lot of times, again, I'm really heavily reliant on the director or maybe the writer there to fill me in as to like who this character is and like how they kind of see everybody else around them, and also what's going on in the world besides that, the overarching story. So if I'm not clear on anything, then a lot of times I'll just have to ask. I've learned to be very vocal about like knowing what's going on. So a lot of times like we're reading through the character lines and we're skipping around, so like I might not know what's going on from this scene to this scene. Like a lot has probably happened in between when you see my character again. So if the line doesn't make sense to me, I'll ask like, oh, what's happening here? Who's she talking to, or what's going on, so that I know how to deliver my lines. Or if the line has like two meanings, then I'll say like, oh, is it this or is it this? So that I know how to deliver it, so that it makes sense when they play it back with the other characters, so that my reaction isn't like way out there.
Gotcha. Well, what do you feel are your favorite roles or your best roles, or are they the same ones?
That's so hard to say, because like I really love all the characters that I've gotten to play. I know we worked really hard on Fully Coolly Progressive. NYAV is very particular with how they want actors to approach their reads, and they really spend a lot of time trying to give different directions so that the actor naturally finds the read that they're looking for each line. And Hidomi in particular has like a lot that she's going through, and with Fully Coolly, like it's a lot that you kind of let the audience kind of figure out for themselves as to what's going on. It's very interpretive, and she goes through a range of emotions. Like she's deadpan one moment, sometimes like she's really hyper, and she has like a lot going on, and they go into these like huge battle scenes, and so it was really different, like day to day, moment to moment, and I would say like that was, I really loved the experience of it. I feel like I grew a lot as an actor working on that show, and it was a lot of work, and like the directors, the staff and production IG, I'm glad they trusted me with that character.
Okay. Were there any characters in any of the performances that you did that you would have rather had as opposed to what you got, or would have wanted to have along with what you performed as?
I guess usually I am pretty happy with how I'm cast. Sometimes I go like, whoa, you want me to play this character? Are you sure? Like, I'm not sure if I trust myself to play this character. I feel like this is, you see something in me that maybe I don't even see in me. And I usually, for characters like that, when I go in, it's like, it's an amazing experience just to try to see like where I can go with it. Like I play a game that just came out a few days ago called Naraka Blade Point. It's like you're going and you're like fighting in teams and such, and you're going around and like you're trying to be the like last man standing kind of thing. And my character in particular is this like beautiful thief. So she goes around, she like says little snarky things. She's very confident. She knows what she wants, and she's kind of snarky and very different than what I normally get to play, which are very tend to be younger, sweeter kind of characters. And so like getting to play something like that is really cool to me, and like so, you know, sometimes like when I get cast in a show, I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to play this other character, but I'm also happy with how I've been cast. So, but yeah, not sure if that answered your question, but like talking about roles that I wish I could have had.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm glad that sometimes like casting directors will let me expand in different areas.
Okay. Well, one last question I wanted to ask, and I love asking this question a lot from a lot of my guests, especially in the field that they're in. What advice do you have for anyone that wants to get into the voice acting industry, or at least get into voice acting in general?
I would say practice is really important. Taking classes and like taking classes with different teachers, because everybody has like a different approach and different style, and you can learn a lot by taking in all these different approaches and seeing what works for you. Because maybe one teacher will have like this specific vision, and you're like, well, that's not quite meshing with me, I'm not quite understanding it. And you'll go over here and be like, oh, this teacher is brilliant, I totally jive with them, and like I like their approach, and I'm going to adopt that one instead. So I would say like taking classes, getting a lot of acting experience, practicing, get a group together. I have practice groups that I meet with often to just kind of like play with and like try out new characters, and then also like hearing other people perform and seeing how they work also informs me, and like, oh, like that's a really cool approach, how do I do that for myself? And so like getting to see somebody else perform is also really beneficial. So like if you can, get a group together and like practice together.
Okay. Well, thank you again for taking the time to speak with us here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Looking forward to seeing what else you've got in store panel-wise this weekend. So this is Ian Camalotis for CEntertainment Media, and thank you for watching.